Okay, yeah. So we're doing Apple a Day Keeps Elon Away, the weekly Twitter thing, which insane stuff happened today. So I don't think we're going to be able to have it.
Oh, I didn't see any of the stuff that happened today. Oh, are we talking about him
The Twitter
banning
docs?
Kanye again?
No,
Oh, okay.
that was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Twitter had some. I don't know enough about it. I said in the pre-show we weren't going to have this in the show, and we won't properly have this in the show, I bet, because I think covering this right now would be really difficult.
Yeah,
But
let's just not then. Yeah, that's fine.
Twitter released a bunch of internal documentation
okay.
from before about how they dealt with certain things in the past. That's all I know about it. I don't want to talk about it anymore just because I don't know enough and I don't want to say the wrong stuff.
Got it.
On Monday at 9:35 a.m., Elon tweets, Apple has mostly stopped advertising on Twitter. Do they hate free speech in America?
Ooh.
What a jump. 10:43 a.m., Elon adds, Apple has also threatened to withhold Twitter from its App Store, but won't tell us why. At 1:09 p.m., he wrote, the Twitter files on free speech suppression soon to be published on Twitter itself. The public deserves to know what really happened. That was released today.
Ooh.
That's what he's referencing.
Spicy.
Today, Elon said he's going to be publishing what really happened with the Hunter Biden story suppression at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, but it needed some last-minute fact-checking. The thread was finally published by Matt, I don't know how to say his last name, I apologize, Matt Taibbi, I think, at 6:34 p.m. Eastern Time. Last Friday, podcaster Liz Wheeler tweeted suggesting that Apple and Google boot Twitter from their app stores. Elon should produce, if they did that, Elon should produce his own smartphone. Half the country would happily ditch the iPhone and Android. To which Elon responded, yes, if there's no other choice, I will make an alternative phone. Linus.
Dang. Oh, hey, that's me.
Early Tuesday morning, called the bluff of those who claimed they'd totally switch to a Musk phone were he to make one. Also, effective Wednesday, Twitter is no longer enforcing the COVID-19 misleading information policy. Why? Don't forget, in the early days of the pandemic, Elon tweeted that the coronavirus panic is dumb. I didn't want to say that out loud because if you chop off the beginning, then I said it. Wednesday, 12:26 p.m., Elon tweeted a video from Apple Park captioned, thanks at Tim Cook for taking me around Apple's beautiful HQ. Good conversation, among other things. We resolved the misunderstanding about Twitter potentially being removed from the App Store. Tim was clear that Apple never considered doing so.
All right. This week in Twitter.
Wow.
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 One does not simply make a phone. Yeah, the problem is not making the phone. Making the phone is the super, actually, relatively easy part.
You can outsource that.
Like, I could probably have the chatbot print me out some instructions for how to make a phone.
Wow.
The issue is getting people to adopt the ecosystem, and that's why I don't foresee a way to break the current duopoly. Honestly. Like it is different than before. There have been incumbents before. Nokia was a huge incumbent. BlackBerry was a huge incumbent, and both of them were so big that it sounded ridiculous, right? When Apple launched the iPhone. But what Apple got right, and what Apple has done right in multiple markets now, be it personal computers or smartphones or whatever else it is they built the app ecosystem that drives people to not just buy the product. That's not the hard part. The hard part is to get them locked into an ecosystem so that they can never buy another product. How are so many people, you'll ask them, why don't you consider anything other than an iPhone? They'll be, I can't live without X. And that really is, at least in their mind anyway, it is that black and white. I cannot live without a feature or an app or the peace of mind they get from, Apple being the one that holds all of their personal information or whatever it is, right? iKing RPG says, what if they just do what Amazon did and make a fork of Android without Google Play? Well, then they better be prepared to subsidize the crap out of that hardware because nobody wants it. Like, look at how cheap Kindle devices are, or Fire devices are. I actually talk about that in the video that we did on the Logitech G Cloud. there's a lot of people that look at the G Cloud, which is $350 regular price, but it's been promoted to $299 a couple times already. So I suspect it's going to end up at $299. But the G Cloud is a streaming only Android handset. And people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to have one of these, but Logitech's out to lunch with the pricing. It's got to be $200, or even some people, it's got to be $100. It's got to be nothing. It costs what it costs to make. You can't make it for a retail price of $100 at that level of quality. It's nice that you'd like to have that, but it doesn't matter what you'd like to have because it's just not reality. And so one of the things I brought up in the video is the only exception to that is Fire tablets, because they really are just shockingly affordable. And the reason they're shockingly affordable is because they're basically useless without that Prime subscription that Amazon uses to subsidize the cost of that tablet over time. So unless Twitter Blue really takes off, or, I mean, if they manage to turn Twitter into an everything app a la WeChat, and they could count on ongoing revenue, there's just no way that the price of this device would make any sense whatsoever for its functionality. And honestly, I mean, this might be one of those things, like, I don't see anyone ever using Bitcoin for anything, like 9 years ago or whatever on WAN Show. Since then, houses, entire industries. Anyway, this might be one of those things that I completely get wrong. But I don't see an everything app like a WeChat existing outside of an authoritarian regime like China. Because if you've ever used WeChat, have you ever used WeChat?
No, I haven't. I've seen you use it, but
fucking sucks. It's terrible. It looks like it was made in 2012.
It does. Every time I've seen you use it, I'm like, what is that?
It actually looks
program?
And operates like garbage.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it going, the only possible way that this is out competing everything is if there ain't no real competition for it.
Right.
And so to look at something like a WeChat and go, yeah, I'm going to reproduce that in North America or in Europe.
It does help that they already have a massive amount of market share, and people hating on Twitter is just giving them a wildly huger market share, which was a end point of this that I called the Twitter not going down thing while there was armies of people saying it was going to fall in days, all that type of stuff.
Yep.
I didn't think it was going to get like way bigger. I thought people were going to stop using it. Not the case.
I mean, it can be one then the other. So this is far from.
That's fair enough. It's been a while now,
saga.
Though. Hasn't it been like a month?
I can tell you. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I've noticed. One is that I'm getting way more engagement on Twitter than I used to. Either I'm like awesomer or not all of it is real. So that's one thing that I've noticed.
Okay.
And I've also started to check my recommended, my trending less. And the reason is that it has gotten worse.
Interesting.
One of the things that was trending for me today was something Trudeau trader pipeline Germany or something like that. I have
definitely noticed that the Canadian trending has gone extremely right wing.
Yep. And the entire thread was single tweets with basically no interaction, with this same picture and this same headline, just trending, spewing this phrase into the Canadian Twitter sphere.
I will say, Twitter trending has always been useless, in my opinion. I have found it to be basically that forever. I've never found it to be useful for me.
Maybe it's because I've clicked on drama then. Because I've been interested in just the ridiculous drama that's been going down on the platform lately.
Yeah, I don't.
So maybe it just has no way of kind of coming back from that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Either way, I'm down for the ride. Like that's sort of our thing, is we don't jump on to every new flash in the pan platform. I'm glad I never invested any serious energy in Vine or Periscope. I'm not planning to invest any serious energy in TikTok. I think it's finite.
You're doing some stuff though, right? There's like,
Yeah, I haven't touched it.
okay,
Yeah, like our social team put some stuff on there. We're monetizing it as long as it's like sustainable. Then I'm kind of sitting here going, okay, yeah, as long as money out equals or is greater than money in, then
sounds good.
yeah, fine, sure, yeah, let's. But we don't just like jump onto a new social media platform. I tend to be a late goer, and once we're in though, I mean, we're pretty heavily invested in Twitter. We make money on Twitter, so we're kind of okay, yeah, sure. And I even said like Twitter Blue, I'm not going to buy it personally, but if it makes sense for the business, yeah, sure, I'll do it.
I also find it interesting, like, people hate on Elon super hard. Fair enough. But they don't seem to hate on other people doing, like, just as bad things that aren't as public.
Well, that's honestly his biggest problem is that he never shuts up.
He just talks about it too much.
Yeah.
Because people don't care if you don't talk about it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So, like...
well, the news cycle is not even a 24-hour news cycle anymore. It's like 45-minute news cycle.
Yeah. Wild. Which...
like we were talking in the pre-show. I was like, hey, is anyone even still talking about the Balenciaga thing? Like, the amount of outrage there was over that, and rightfully so. And it just...
almost entirely
has
gone.
Evaporated in the wake of, Kanye West declaring his love for Hitler. Like...
yeah. Pretty much. And I told, like, the Balenciaga thing, tons of additional horrific information came out about it, but the train had passed.
Yeah.
So, like, almost
Balenciaga
no
took
one
the
noticed.
bullet, and the like weird, edgy like person who actually seemed to be the coordinator for the campaign seems to have just flown completely under the radar here. Like, I don't know that they'll get a lot of work in that industry. Like obviously within that
I
sphere.
think nothing is changing.
Really?
In regards to that,
okay.
from the very, I don't know if I would call it credible information that I have. So I don't know. I'm not claiming anything specific, but like, I don't think anyone cares because they were never really widely targeted. They weren't a part of that very temporary snowball.
Sure. I just want to jump in. Codependent, I know you're like a paying subscriber on Floatplane, but I do got to call you out here. The kids would have absolutely zero context to know that was sexual. I don't see how they were harmed at all. That's exactly the point. They don't understand. That's why you may not do that. That's why the fact that they cannot consent to it is the reason that that's not okay. Just want to jump in and make sure that that's dealt with.
There are times where opinions are incorrect.
Yeah, that was one of them.